At the center of this relatively small area geographically, but very, very hot situation politically and from a public safety standpoint, is a woman whose life was cut short. She had a brilliant future ahead of her. And we will make every effort in our coverage of whatever happens there today to say her name. Breonna Taylor, Jason Johnson, today, no one charged in her shooting.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Nicole. I'm not surprised. And you know, every time this happens, and this has happened a lot, I always tell myself before I go on the air, I'm not going to get pissed. I'm not going to do any sort of performative tears. I'm not going to rage or anything else like that. And yet today, I can't help it. I'm so disgusted by this. I'm so disgusted by Daniel Cameron's performance. I am so sick and tired of black people going on the air and performing for violence and white supremacy and state-sponsored violence against black people and claiming they're mamas and claiming they're because of black men, they care about it. This woman got shot in her house when she was asleep. It's like Atiana Jefferson got shot playing video games with her nephew at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like Botham Jean was eating ice cream, got shot on his couch. I'm telling people, I'm sitting here in my house right now. I have an IFB in my ear. I can't hear much. So if cops busted into my house right now and shot me on the air, what Daniel Cameron basically told America is that that would be legal. If they thought that there was something wrong, I could be shot in broad daylight on national television in my house because the cops can break in and shoot whoever they want if they're concerned. That is why people are upset. That is why protesters are mad at the media, because they're tired of these discussions being teased out in ways that give justifications for nothing other than state-sponsored white supremacy and killing of black people. It is so infuriating and so maddening. And I empathize with the people who are there in pain. And I empathize with the protesters who are going to be home by 9 o'clock, Nicole. That's the thing. The Black Lives Matter protesters, they're going to take their signs and they're going to go home. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of interlopers and white nationalists and 3%ers and terrorists battling out in the street like the No Church in the Wild video. And that's how the Black Lives Matter protesters are going to get depicted. So I want to thank you, actually, for being so good in your opening by saying, hey, can we distinguish between the people wearing black and the folks protesting? Can we distinguish between the white nationalists walking around with guns and the people there who are centering Breonna Taylor? Because that's where the frustration comes from. Not just that another life was snuffed out, but that a lot of people aren't doing what you're doing, Nicole, which is distinguishing between those who are concerned about our criminal justice system and the routine murder of black people and those who want to co-opt the experience for their own political joys.
I want you to say more. Can you just keep going, but maybe pick up on this idea that if you're not safe in your house and you're not safe on the streets, WTF? I mean, where do we go from here?
Yeah. You're not safe anywhere because I can't go anywhere, Nicole. If I go jogging, I could end up like Ahmaud Arbery. You can't go anywhere if you're black. And what's so disgusting about this is, I mean, again, the 3%ers, they're a terrorist organization. And this is a chant that I heard from some of my activist friends. You know, when activists go out there and they say things like the cops and the Klan go hand in hand, people have been saying that since the 70s. The reason they say that is because you've got white nationalists walking around with guns, and the cops are fine with that. They're not pulling those people off the street. They're not pulling Rittenhouse off the street. And black people, these guys are there saying we have to protect folks. Who's the person who's afraid? It's the black people who can get shot anywhere under any circumstances and then have it justified in these horrible press conferences, which are these sort of orgies of disingenuous nonsense about the law, that it was like her own fault that she got shot in a house. And I think it's really important going forward, really important going forward, that if this happens to Breonna Taylor, and it happens to Atiana Jefferson, and it happens to Botham Jean, think of all the other times in America this is happening every single day, and we don't hear about it because there's no video, because there isn't a local activist organization, because there's not a good reporter on the ground. People are being murdered every single day by police who are not being held accountable. And I don't want to hear about any good cops, because if they were good cops who were concerned about this kind of behavior, they'd be out there protesting too. And we don't see enough of that. What we do see is collusion between attorney generals and police and white nationalists, so that when some black person dies, there's always a justification for it.
I want to bring David Henderson in this conversation, but I've got one more for you, Jason Johnson. We also have a president who can't or won't be briefed about the domestic terrorism threat posed by white nationalism in this country. It's been testified to by the current FBI director, Christopher Wray. It's been attested to by Elizabeth Newman, who left the Trump Homeland Security Department, where her job was to monitor threats to the homeland. And a threat to the homeland is the very element that Cal Perry just reported to be in the streets of Louisville tonight, militias.
Yeah, this is how Handmaid's Tale starts, right? Because you have these violent militias in the street, and the president is encouraging them. More police officers, when you talk about terror, more police officers have been killed by white nationalists in America than Al-Qaeda. More police officers have been killed by white nationalists in America than MI5. It is domestic white terror that is the greatest threat to our way of life. And our president has been a terrorist sympathizer. And if there was ever any doubt, all you got to do is go back to my alma mater of Charlottesville and UVA, when he said it's perfectly fine on both sides, and there were good people on both sides. That, Nicole, as you point, that is the real danger. That every single time a Daniel Cameron gets on a podium, cries crocodile tears, and claims that his mama would be concerned about him, he is sending a sign to white nationalists everywhere. With the tacit consent of the President of the United States, you can do this whenever you want, and we won't jail you. We won't hold you accountable. Shoot all the black people you want. Shoot all the protesters you want, because at the end of the day, this system is made to protect white violence. That's what we're hearing. And our president doesn't mind, because as long as they're killing people or threatening or intimidating people he doesn't like, whether that's in the form of marching through the street with protesters or trying to stop folks from voting in Virginia, which we saw with militias here just a couple hours away from where I am now, the president encourages it. And he is completely backed up by William Barr and the rest of the Republican Party.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.